So Jabari Parker has been really good for the Hawks since John Collins got suspended. I would probably consider him to be the starting power forward. It gets kind of weird, who's a 3, who's a 4 and all that, but we can say he's been the 4. I mean, that's what he's been through his whole career pretty much. And how is Jabari doing this? Well, actually, let's talk about the actual numbers first. It's basically 21 points, 8 rebounds on a 60% true shooting percentage in the last 8 games. And, he's mainly been doing it off of things that are not isolations. It's a lot of being really smart in the offense. Another part of it is also he's in really good shape right now. I mean, he has had his weight fluctuate a bit throughout his career. Some of that's because of injuries, no doubt. But even so, you could argue that Jabari has not done the best job keeping himself in shape throughout his career. That does not seem to be the case right now. There are 2 dunks that I can think of just looking at his stuff, where one was one where he beat a guy off the dribble and he looked a little bit like Josh Smith going up with it, and another one was he was in the dunker spot, but he was like maybe a foot or 2 away from the rim, and then he went up with it without much hesitation and flushed it through. So the guy's looking athletic right now. He's able to beat some guys off the dribble. But again, he's not doing it too much from ISO. He's more so doing it within the flow of the offense, which means, for one, he's been setting screens on ball and off the ball. And then he's been able to take advantage from there, whether it's cutting to the basket immediately once the defense has their moment of like, what do we do? Or he's even been powering through dudes on post-ups. I mean, Jabari was a dude who we looked at as a post-up scorer when he was coming into the league, and he's been doing it. He's been attacking mismatches, and he looks pretty damn awesome while he's at it. I mean, he does have that kind of mellow Paul Pierce thing where he's just crafty and he's a little stronger than you might initially think. And with his newfound athleticism, I shouldn't say newfound, he has looked this athletic before, but with how athletic he's looking now, it's all just coming together, and the Hawks are embracing him. Now, there have been other things. He's been cutting really well. Wasn't that a thing with Jabari? I mean, it's been so long with this guy, with injuries and whatever else, to where I don't really remember if we thought of him as a great cutter, but I think we did. Regardless, he's been busting it out for these guys, whether it's Trae Young beating somebody off the bounce and then Jabari just cuts right in. He's just always awake on offense. He's never sitting in the corner and, oh, the ball's not coming to me, I'm not going to do anything. He's just creating things. He's also been grabbing quite a few offensive rebounds. In fact, he's grabbing 2.5 offensive boards a game. He's shooting about 4 free throws a game, which I think is a combination of all these things pretty much. Now, how has the shooting been? Well, he's shooting 25% from 3. At least he's attempting them. We do remember at parts of his career where Jason Kidd hammered into his brain to not shoot threes. He is up to 4.5 threes a game right now, so that's good. And again, all of these numbers are in the last 8 games. His total season averages are going to be a little off from these. And if we look at his mid-range, those percentages are not beautiful, but he's also shooting less mid-rangers in general, so I guess it's fine. I mean, he's been attempting about 44% of his shots at the rim. In the paint in general, it's closer to around 56, 57, and about 30% of his shots have been from 3. So he's kind of gotten rid of the mid-range game altogether. I mean, back in his second season, he attempted 21% of his shots from long 2-point range, and now that's down to 7%. Now, if we look at his impact on the advanced stats, the on-off stuff and all that, he does have a -7 net rating, but I don't really think that's his fault. There are some lineups with Jabari and Trae Young that have been really good, and others that have been not so good. And given that Jabari has been as good as he's been, I mean, I just think it's a pretty easy thing to say. Like, he's not the reason why his net rating is not so good. I mean, there's a lot of young players on this team between Cam and Herter and DeAndre Hunter and whoever else, and there's a lot of dudes moving in and out, and we didn't think this team was going to be a playoff. Well, you might have thought they were going to be a playoff team. I didn't. And given that they already lost Collins, like, I'm not shocked that their on-off numbers are not great. This team was not supposed to be some 45-win team. Looking at the future for Jabari on this team, he's making, what, $6 million, I believe it is? $6.5 million this year. Next year is a player option. That's going to be interesting, because if he's going to keep this up, he's probably going to decline that option and get into unrestricted free agency. I mean, why wouldn't you, if you've proven yourself to be this real offensive option? And then it gets very interesting, because the upcoming free agency class is up in the air right now. It could be really good, depending on how a couple player options swing. It could end up being pretty dry, unless Anthony Davis has some insane falling out with the Lakers. I mean, Jaylen Brown already agreed to his deal, and Karis LeVert did, and I mean, who's left out there? It's like Brandon Ingram and Jabari and Andre Drummond, if that's your vibe. And maybe DeRozan if he declines his player option, which he probably will. But of course, there's been little DeRozan trade buzz, me included. Well, there are some other guys. Hayward is interesting if Hayward drops his player option, and Gallo's going to be unrestricted. We'll have to see if he gets traded and extended somewhere. But the point is, it's not a star-studded free agent class. So if Jabari is in there, and you're probably not going to have to max him, we assume. I mean, you don't really know in today's NBA, but we're going to assume that Jabari gets, I don't know, $15 million a year for like 3 years or something. Then that could be a hell of a bargain for a dude who, if used correctly, and that is key, because they're not just giving him the ball and letting him isolate. They're running him, screens and cuts and everything else. But if you can use him right, and you can get a dude who's going to give you like 17 a game at least, and you're not paying him too much money, that could be a hell of an asset. Whether it's to keep, trade, whatever. That's an interesting thing too. What if the Hawks move Jabari? I don't know. There's also a chance that they keep Jabari Parker and they say, hey, you can be something for us moving forward. I mean, he would be one of their older players, which is kind of insane because he's only 24. Like, you look at the dudes older than Jabari on this team, besides Vince Carter, who doesn't count, and like Evan Turner, who's going to be gone after this year. Same thing with Alan Crabb and stuff. It's basically Alex Len and DeAndre Bembry. That's it. And while we have hope for Cam and Herter and Hunter and all that, Jabari is clearly farther along than any of those guys are right now. Now there's a question of his fit with Collins. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I don't know if John Collins can play center. He has not played center much at all since they drafted him. So I guess that makes Jabari's situation a little weirder, but is it insane to believe that Jabari Parker can just play small forward next to John Collins? I mean, maybe. Maybe Jabari is just complete trash when you put him at the 3, but I'd like to think he could still be pretty damn alright for you. So we will see how all this goes, but Jabari, he's kind of reviving his career. It's pretty much what's happening.